Balcha Denny go G and DL debate le Misha Brenda McDavenya and Shot I Highland Radio. Welcome to the DL debate this evening. I'm delighted to say we're beaming out live from the Mountaintop Studios here. We have Michael Mc Mullen in studio. Michael, how are you getting on, sir?
Not too bad. Been in Donegal for 2 days and I can't believe you just let Murphy out to take 2 points off. So I just can't believe that. I'm still sore about it.
Mal, of course, Gaelic Life, great that he has a regular contributor to Highland, of course a Derry man underneath it, but he takes his beating well. We've got the main man Joe Dex here producing as ever. I want to thank Ivan for the Power Hour Plus, the legendary Ivan Bourne, and Michaela for the news as well. We're going to give you a rundown on all the sport from the weekend shortly. Enda Mcginley, the famous Enda Mcginley, is going to be joining us. You've seen him on RTE. Unfortunately, we've seen him with Ergo Kieran. I'm going to avoid that question. Maybe, Mal, you can chat to him about that if you want. Listen, you can't avoid it. We'll have to talk about it. But, folks, before we get into the show, I just want to put out condolences to Harvey family. What a great family. What a great J. Eunan's family. You know, Celia, of course, great woman. Ollie does a power of work out there. Cahill and Sara, and, of course, their partners. You know, all their family, the grandchildren. You know, I used to call him Charlie Bronson. I had a great relationship with Charlie. He was an easy man to make a relationship with. You know, I was chatting to Kieran Brogan about him earlier today. You know, he was talking about how good Charlie was to the club, and there's so many people around the GA world that's like that, but he was saying, you know, the club was good to Charlie. You know, it was a second family to him, and listen, we all loved the man. Just looking back to 97, you know, we won the championship and we're going buck mad round Letterkenny, and I really got to know Charlie at that stage. He loved the crack, and there was something very warm about him. You know, I'd hit the bar as we were mad at the time, and I've settled now a long bit, but he'd be half laughing by the time you come in. You know, he'd be looking for the crack, he'd be looking for the bit of carry on out of you. And there was just he's one of the people you just always wanted to see. Nice way with him, serious club man. He'll be missed by so many. It's hard kind of thinking about Eunan's without him now. So listen, as I say, God bless you, Charlie. Thanks for all the memories, and we'll catch you again down the road. The great Charlie Harvey there, he'll be missed. Folks, I say at the top of the show there, we'll look back at the weekend's games. The hurlers and the ladies both had defeats, but our footballers came through in a big game in Ballyshannon, and myself and Michael Mc Mullen was there. We're going to go across the news that was, Mal, yesterday's game. Derry come desperate for points, and after Donegal's defeat to Galway, I mean, you were just talking, if this was the game after, it might have been the game to play Donegal as it was. Donegal still, just to be safe and out of the picture of any relegation, they wanted the 2 points as well. Donegal not beat in Ballyshannon since, what was it, 2009 or something?
Yeah, Dublin 2009. I think they had 9 wins and a draw. So
yeah,
it was a tall order for Derry. And here, Brenton, they were ahead for 44 minutes in the game, but you got to be ahead at the end. And those last 11 minutes, like, I think out of 5 Derry kickouts, I think they only won 1. And
because of that man
Murphy was a big factor in it, yeah. And probably Brenton Rodgers going off injured, Owen McAvoy going off injured, but like a combination of things, the breeze as well, and probably the home support as well. Once Donegal got a foothold, like I said to you after the game, like even Conor O'Donnell ran through for a point one time, and you can nearly sense he was speeding up as the crowd roared, you know, so there's that's a factor too. But from Derry's point of view, it leaves them absolutely hanging on by a thread, and it's not in their own hands. But from Donegal's point of view, Murphy.
Yeah.
3 assists for goal chances, 2 of them they passed up, and then obviously your own clubman, Shane O'Donnell, he hung up the one that mattered, and it turned the game, Brenton.
Yeah. Listen, from that 8 points down, it wasn't looking likely. Is he there? Is he? The main man himself? Enda?
I am.
What's a crack?
You have to be talking to me, are you?
How's you going, dude?
I'm good.
Hey, you weren't long after this club season. You were back punditry again. You're a wanted man. Hey, thanks very much for joining us.
Turns out Ergal doesn't pay very well, so you have to go back to the day job.
Hey, we've all been there. Listen, we'll just bypass this ravenous run through Ulster, and Hey, an epic year. Me and you were in contact a lot throughout it, and we were on a collision course, which eventually did collide, and you got the better of us. But you know, so close to the ultimate prize, but still, then was a huge year for you.
Yeah, it's that classic mixed emotions that we all have in terms of when you're in this game, you get great runs, and then if they end up in ultimate failure, it still stings like mad. But we know we've often said to each other before that you lose way more than you win in this game, and same this year. We had great wins along the way, and that'll be thankfully the run and the mood within the club. Like the club just went clean mad, which is just amazing to see. To be honest, it ended in failure, but I just can't commend the boys enough. I thought they responded to a pretty poor half time position in the Ireland final, and they responded and salvaged something in terms of pride and played with a wee bit of quality, which you always dream of doing in Croke Park. So no, look, it was a good year overall, and but it'll be back to the grindstone. We're up on a pedestal now, and there's nothing. There's no
You
worse
Tyrone
position
boys
to
love
be in
that.
Tyrone football than to be up on a pedestal, because there's an awful lot of boys with
Yes.
axes that just want to come and chop you down.
And then tell me, the season, you know, it was a remarkable season in terms of tight games, no more than the one we played you in terms of, I mean, you've obviously got a very good ticker there because the emotion that you were dragged through all season, there was never a game, and I was joking you about it, where even when you were in control, something happened and it was right bang into the last couple of minutes in every match.
Ah, it was desperate. Even you're right. Even in games when we had put ourselves into the driving seat, you were just. It almost came as no surprise then whenever there was a sudden then change, and the opposition got right back at you. But we played a lot of good teams along the way. I think that's part of it. Like it's the nature of the run we went on. Even Cluno in the second round in Tyrone. Now Cluno ended up getting relegated, but anybody within Tyrone knows that with the team that they have, if they're in the right mood on the right night, they will give anybody the fill of it, and they certainly give us our fill of it that night. But no, it ended up what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as the saying, and you knew coming through those tight matches, you could see a belief, you could see that something special coming into the squad that you can't achieve any other way bar coming through tight games, and a team figure, figuring out for themselves on the pitch, and boys realizing, you know what, actually we have it in us to see out the toughest of positions and to get over the line. And that's massive for any team to start to get that, and our boys got that, and it undoubtedly sent them on their way and stood to them then in other contests as it came along. It became a self fulfilling prophecy in ways, but unfortunately in the final we left ourselves too much to do.
Yeah, there was still some fight back, and even with your main man off the pitch. I mean, it was remarkable the way you come back in that. Well, me and you was just talking there. We were down in the Mount Errigal with Terry. He was throwing us up our content for the night. We have to thank him for. But of course, Kira and Alea were looking after us. We've got a queer feed there, so we're ready for action. But listen, we're just chatting about myself and yourself, and Enda's touched on there. That bit of a thing about not being beat. Is there a bit of that crept into Derry now? You know, you look at, we were on about that middle part of the Dublin game. They conceded 110, conceded 1-7 yesterday. They were ahead of Kerry. Is there a wee bit of thing starts to creep into you where, like, and it went the other way for them, it became self-fulfilling. Is there a wee bit of a hole now in Derry in terms of seeing out matches or just getting across the line to get 2 points?
Probably a fair enough point. Like, if you look at the scoreboard on the league table, you would say they're having an appalling season, but like, they're in so many games at important stages. But only the Derry players can answer this. But when Shane O'Donnell's shot hits the net, you know, there's 2 points on it, but you just wonder, is there a switch in there where they think, oh no, not again? And winning's a habit, losing's a habit, and like, in those last 10 minutes, they just could not get a break of any description. And maybe one breaking ball, one kick out, one might have just made the difference. Like Enda, we were chatting, like, I go back to Sean Patton hitting the kick out down the wing at 10 points all, and you're thinking if Ewan's get a shot away here, but they don't, and then Ben gets those couple of points, it turns the game. It just shows you how fine a margin it is. And if you win a couple of tight games as you were able to do, and it's absolutely massive. Like I would have said, obviously with Dara and Rory so influential for yous, but you've got so much out of everybody else. They really, really dug in, and probably that's, to be fair to Paddy Tally, the Derry boys did dig in on
They
Sunday,
did, yeah.
albeit in those last 10 minutes they just could not get the ball.
Yeah, they do look happy enough. And myself and Mal are trying to, I guess, drill down to the nature of it from Derry. This time last year being the second favourites, potentially to 1-0 Ireland. Is there something now? And you've coached obviously your lads, and you've been in many, many successful teams. Is it night after night at training that something happens? Is it kind of like a thing that Jim has instilled in Donegal, that obviously Rory Gallagher had instilled in Derry? Is it something you think that just is sheer passion night after night to get players into like a force? Do you know what I mean, on the pitch, that they've got something that's a wee bit above their sum total?
Yeah, I suppose there's probably different ways of going about it, and certainly I've been lucky enough, as you say, between university and club and county at the various grades, and I I've been in plenty of winning dressing rooms under a few of the men you've already mentioned, and the one thing I would say, they were all a wee bit different in terms of how they would build that winning feeling in a dressing room, and sometimes it's to do with the players as well, but certainly managers like McGuinness uh, can create a mood within a dressing room that just makes them feel unbeatable. They just have huge faith in the management, and Derry had that with Gallagher without a doubt. Donegal have that with McGuinness. You see certain teams at certain times just really bond and start going together on a bit of a journey, and it's probably a couple of things. It's that classic thing. It's never just one thing. It's a couple of things coalesce together, and suddenly it builds up, and there's a momentum builds up, and then the same way as you get it on the negative side of the hill, you get this real wave. Like McGuinness's last time was marked out 2011. There was this sense of something building, and then 2012 it just felt from a long way out. It felt like an unstoppable force had been built. And Derry were coming with a similar thing under Gallagher without a doubt. Last year's crash was unbelievable in many ways in terms of the severity of a crash. Uh, for me, I think there's a culmination of things. Derry's most teams rise. You could look at Armagh. Armagh, a wee bit like a growing bush. They were growing, but then they got trimmed back, and the disappointment, they took 2 bites to get out of Division 3. From recollection, I think they took 2, maybe 3 bites to get out of Division 2. They obviously had perennial championship defeats in Ulster, and all the time you'd sense there was something coming, but then it came back, and then it came again, and then it came back. But it built a really strong depth, a massively resolute depth. Now they still needed things to fall your way. Every winning team does, but when the opportunity arose, and even with setbacks and wobbles during the year, the likes of losing last year's Ulster final, they were strong enough and robust enough and had enough belief in themselves to go on and make a really strong push. Derry's rise was meteoric. It was year after year just better. Suddenly right into All Ireland top table. Here we go. It's going to just rocket straight to the top. And I think when that has wobbled, they don't have anywhere near the same strength and depth that the likes of Armagh had built up. And then this year they've had a couple more injuries. They're trying to get in new players, but their overall rise still has been very fast, and they're now in the thin air of Division 1, where little things are punished pretty hard. And I don't think they've been a million miles off in many of their games. In fact, I think they've had a lot of very good performances, a lot of really good patches within games. I thought they were really poor against Dublin, to be honest. I thought their pressure and effort level was flat, which always gets exposed in Croke Park. But other than that, I think they've been better than their position in the table suggests. But it's a harsh environment they're now living in, and I think the meteoric rise is now over. They've fallen down a wee bit. They're getting pummeled. Not much has fallen for them. But if they can hold it together, and as you're saying, that place in the training ground, put in the hard yards, keep that circle tight and keep it close, and everybody keep on mission, then they can absolutely come again. They've still serious quality within that ranks. They have a brilliant age profile. But they do need something to start falling their way, because it's not doing it so far.
It's been tough, man. Well, just last question then, to mention their tally. You know, everybody's been looked at in terms of the Gallagher been in. You know, Paul McGaver's in with him, obviously huge experience, you know, with club, particularly with Kilcoo. You know, McGuckin's in there. I don't think he did stuff before with anybody. McFlynn was in there last year, Paul, wasn't he? He's a bit of experience with different names. He was in Antrim then as well, wasn't he? So, you know, is Tally got enough help there, enough backup? You know, you look at different management teams. I mean, look at Armagh, for example, the way they pulled in people and that. Do you think Derry fans happy enough that these guys can get the job done? I do think they are fighting and they're back some way. They're definitely progressing. They've been unlucky. They could have had 4 points after them opening 3 matches. So, you know, are you happy enough that things will turn and that there'll be, you know, someone that could say, listen, we can win the Ulster Championship?
I think it's obviously a very difficult corner to be in, but when you appoint your manager so late, you sort of have to roll with the punches, and people have to get behind your team. Like yesterday, you could have counted in 2 hands, maybe amount of people from Derry were in Ballyshannon, and you know that's disappointing from that point of view, because like the players were grinding for the cause. Like Enda touched on, like they were really, really flat, whereas like Marty Bradley's block on Darragh Wheel pretty early on probably summed up to me that they were prepared to scramble and battle, and they were a bit more defensively sound. Like they were actually, you know, they were actually defending the arc really well. But like, you know, to answer your question, you just need to back them. I think the biggest problem, Brenton, is like depth. Like, you know, you're taking out the spine of your defence, and it leaves you under pressure no matter what happens. Like who would step into the dressing room on Sunday and then take on the mantle when you see Brenton Rodgers limping off and Owen McAvoy going off? They're your sort of central spine. Like, it's really, really difficult. I think you just have to back what's there now, and probably Brenton, maybe a lot of counties are the same, and I don't know what Enda's taking this as with Tyrone, but with the potential new rules, and no matter how many of them stick, I think it just means you need to develop a different type of player. And as much as Derry have been really successful, I think they probably just need to start developing, you know, like there was an article last week where Meath seemed to have developed the big man around the middle and the 2-footed man up front, and that's probably where a lot of counties need to go. And I think Derry people need to back what's there and possibly maybe try and build something, because the rules are here, Brenton, forever.
It's
the rules are here.
The Meath thing seemed, they always had the big men, remember? The Meath thing seems quite simple. Big men out in the middle. The shooters were coming out to play outside arc, and that was their game plan, and they were going to let it in fairly fast. And listen, me and you, Miles.
Gosh, you know, Neil's point, you know, for Armagh, same thing.
Aye. So we're going to drill down. We're going to hear from Jim McGuinness now after break. I'm just conscious when Enda's on here. Enda, just a wee update on our friends from Tyrone. I was saying to Mal, you know, Tyrone come to Letterkenny now in a couple of weeks' time, desperate for points. It looks like Donegal might throw the handbrake on, so it might be a bad time to play us, you know. And
Brenton's got the red carpet out.
I love thy neighbour. You know, I was just looking, even if Tyrone were coming, if Donegal had full team, they'd be well within their, you know, they can come and win this match. You know, I'm not too sure, of course, what way Donegal will play it. The soundings is that they will rest players, but, you know, just thinking about the whole Tyrone team, the spine of that team that they have, you know, particularly Brennan coming back in there, you know, Hampsey, Morgan, you know, Kiernan, Kilpatrick, Kennedy, you know, Bradley with the 7 points the last day, of course, Dara, you know, people's not talking about Rory for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but there's a wealth of talent there, and certainly with the manager that they have there, he has a proven track record. I don't know why people are kind of looking already, like he's going to take time to bed in and get things right, eat all your own men back, and certainly they should have beaten Galway the last day out, and that's no mean feat from what I seen of Galway.
Yeah, and they should have beaten Mayo their last time out west as well. Their shooting boots were left badly at home, and they missed several absolute sitters. So they probably should have beat Mayo as well. And again, a wee bit like Derry, I don't think Tyrone has been playing as well as Derry, to be absolutely honest. I think they've been a wee bit further back, but at the same stage they very easily could be sitting mid-table rather than where they are. But also it's probably no major, like when you look at the two teams that are struggling at the minute, Tyrone and Derry, they're also the two teams with the new managers in. There's an awful lot of sorting out to do when you're a new manager in, and when you put on top the new rules, that's a massive workload to try to take on. And Tyrone famously do have a big group of players that are of decent quality, and so you're having to go through a lot of players that might be able to have it and suss out. It's nearly easier if you have a smaller pool of really good players than having a huge group of good players and you're trying to weed out and trying to find the ones that have that extra wee bit, because all of them, you could make a case for 30 players from Tyrone to be in and around that first 15, and Malachi has that to try and weed in, and obviously he's done without the Argyll players as well for the first stage, so he's getting more players back. I think the Tyrone energy level needs to come up. I think a wee bit like Mayo have rediscovered themselves. I think if Tyrone rediscover their real game, which I think we've seen elements of and seen aspects of it's coming back, I think these new rules can suit Tyrone. They've got the big men for the middle third, and they've probably got a few more still to come back in. They've got the attacking forwards, and they've got really good defenders as well there. So and the top goalkeeper, whatever role the goalkeeper ends up taking now, and I'd imagine that's going to be one of the biggest things coming out of the FRC. But Donegal are great friends of Tyrone, always have been. So we trust that they'll give us the 2 points whenever we visit in a wee bit. But it's very early days from a Tyrone point of view, very early days for Malachi O'Rourke. I would certainly still have great confidence that there's talent there, there's a good squad with a good manager. I think given time, they'll come okay.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree. And we probably will be kind to you this time. I would imagine you might be doing. And listen, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you have a million things on there. Can you tell me, between club and go back to RTE and your punditry now, how many hours of football do you think you're currently talking week in, week out? Is it?
It would not be good. It wouldn't be good. About a few weeks off there now, to be honest.
Yeah. You were away in New York, and you got a wee bit of downtime. Because I'm not surprised. Then you're great at the analysis. Obviously, it's great to have you on tonight. But so that's sitting waiting for you. So you just juggle that now between the pre-season planning of Argyll.
Juggle that and trying to have enough of a downtime in terms of the club to let the boys get their hunger and their mojo back. With a few boys unfortunately heading away, so that'll be another challenge. But look, in some ways I can't wait to get back out to the pitch either. As you know, I have a clatter of weigh-ins here, so it's tougher in the evenings when you don't have football on than when you can head out the door. Certainly I have a very understanding wife, and she was somewhat the understanding was wearing very, very thin, but
I appreciate that. Listen,
we're all in that boat sometimes.
I'll let you get back to that understanding wife, and thanks a million. We'll catch up as the season goes on, so all right,
take care, man.
Appreciate it. Hand top man, Enda Mcginley, Argyll Kieran, manager of course, folks. We'll catch up with more of the weekend's news after this break.
Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sara's Kitchen, and there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Make perfect pancakes every time with Dunnes Stores. Whip up a batch with fresh eggs, 6 for €1.39. Or choose an 8-pack of large buttermilk pancakes, just €2.50. Then add your favourite toppings like a sprinkle of sugar with 49-cent lemons, or chocolate and hazelnut spread for a 100-gram jar, only €1.50. And for that finishing touch, you can save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Virgin Media Broadband is smooth. How smooth, you ask? Well, imagine you're a big old walrus, and rather than lumbering around a glacier avoiding polar bears, you're on a lake, driving a speedboat. 3,000 kilos of mollusk-munching magnificence, feeling the wind in your whiskers and the sun on your big, blubbery face. That's the kind of smoothness you feel with 99.9% broadband reliability. Available nationwide. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. For broadband reliability, see virginmedia.ie/proof.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sara's Kitchen, and there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, the time is 7:30. We continue with the GA reporting, and we're looking back from the weekend there. We're going to hear a few words now from Jim McGuinness after yesterday's game. Oisín caught up with him in Ballyshannon.
Welcome back here to Ballyshannon. I'm joined live here on Sunday Sport by Jim McGuinness. Good man, Jim. Thanks for joining us and coming to see us so soon. Listen, outscoring Derry, 1-7-0 score in the closing 10 minutes. Did you think that one was gone at any stage before you hit the closing 10? Because Derry seemed to be in control of it, but then Donegal really kicked into gear in that closing period.
Yeah, I suppose the first thing, Oisín, is we're delighted with the response in the last quarter. You know, they were very tired today. That was obvious. They were very tired. You know, we weren't ourselves today for, you know, a large part of it. It is our 5th week on the bounce, I suppose. You're playing a good side that know how to use the ball and keep the ball. But there was a lot of times now we didn't lay a hand on them defensively. A lot of times, even for Conor Glass's goal, we couldn't even get back. So I think they've definitely deserved a few days off now. We'll give them a wee bit of a circuit breaker for a couple of days now, physical and mental, and hopefully we can freshen them up and go from there. But the positive would be the fact that, you know, even though we were 8 points down, you know, you still, based on last year and all the work that they've done, you still feel that you're never really gone. And I think that is one of the big positives we'll take for the game.
Yeah, and I suppose another positive is you got time into the legs of some players. Keelan McColgan or McFadden fair in the second half. And again, Michael Murphy came on to the second half, and I think he was involved in nearly everything in that closing period, so he was.
No, definitely. And Oran Doherty as well, and Owen McHugh. I think all of them players added to us, and it's obviously they were fresh, and so they were coming in and they gave us a wee bit of energy that was required, that was lacking in many respects. So that was all really positive. You know, Oran, Michael, Owen McHugh picked up 2 or 3 very important breaks. Kieran Moore then, when he was moved from the cornerback position out the field, really used his athleticism in the last 15 or 20 minutes as well, to kind of go at Derry, and that was an important sort of a couple of interventions for him. So yeah, listen, we know that we have an awful lot to think about in relation to Derry. We have an awful lot to work on going away today, but the big positive would be the last quarter, that they kept on going, they kept on believing, and were able to sort of get hands on the ball around the middle of the park, which is so important. We've seen it with Dublin and Kerry a couple of weeks ago. We've seen it last night on the TV. You know, Armagh absolutely dominated, and then the second half Dublin were dominating on the kick out for a period. So I suppose in terms of the rules, you would like to think that the thing would have been settling at this stage at round 5, but it doesn't feel like that. And even
that was going to be one of my questions. You said in the pre-season part that by round 5 everybody would have a good idea of the actual playing field when it comes to the rules. But it's not the case. No, it's not the case, because things are being introduced, you know, midstream. You know, the 20-second rule on the kickouts over the weekend was, you know, I don't understand what we're trying to do here. Is that we're trying to create a game where everything, there's like, I don't understand where a player gets a breather. You know, there is no opportunities. You know, before, when the ball went over the bar or wide, you would be jogging out to your position and you'd be able to get a breather, and you'd be right, okay, you need to go again, and you know, process for a couple of seconds. They're playing under serious fatigue at the moment, and maybe, you know, today those couple of subs that we were able to bring in versus Derry, that had put so much into the game, made the difference. But I think in terms of the player welfare aspect of it, it's very hard at the moment, and very challenging for the lads. Does voices from managers be listened to by anybody in the FRC? I don't. Because that's a couple of weekends now on the trot that you've made. Obviously, the cards last week, you called it farcical. Now you've highlighted the 20 seconds and the keeper, which, let's be honest about, is a bit ridiculous. Does the FRC need to start listening to more, maybe from the managers like yourself? I suppose, to be fair to the FRC, like, you know, they have to bring in what they believe is going to speed the game up and make the game quicker. There's no denying that. You know, we would be disappointed with how we played today for maybe 3/4 of the game, but we still put maybe 122, was it, at the end? 122 on the board. You know, so that in itself tells you where the game is at.
Yes, Mal, interesting as ever, Jim, talking. You know, the man knows his ball, and you know, he's not happy with the things out there, and we've got this balance now, Mel, between these new rules, excitement of the game, and then some still level of Gaelic football as we know it. And I know I've seen some people give off today about, the guys, like say, the way Jim and them, they try and tactically take out the game, but that is their job. So I suppose the FRC, the balancing act here is between a freeing up our game a bit, that it's not 15 behind the ball, it's not set plays, it's not pedestrian, but the balance between the core of Gaelic football as we have it, and things like the 20-second rule, which you've seen, you know, badly administered at the weekend, and some other silly things like, say, the way the cards have gone and that. We need to clean this up quick and get to a point where things like the tap and go and the kick out and all them, they are being the plus points of the game, and we're being dragged down by some of the other smaller parts of it, do you think?
Big time. The 20-second rule for a kick out is, Ossian's hit a bit ridiculous. I would say totally ridiculous. Do you know, you're asking a goalkeeper, like for example Sean Patton in Salt Hill, you're against the breeze, you have a 40-yard metre arc, and all of a sudden you're only allowed 20 seconds to go and get a ball. The umpire's not allowed to go and get it because the referee gets marked down if he does, and then you're standing to kick it out, and 20 seconds, like, it's just the fact that that's been added in. Like, I believe teams were starting to get used to it. I think the kick out arc needs to go. Maybe that's a debate we'll have tonight, I'm not sure. But 20 seconds is ridiculous. How do they throw that into the middle of something that's already messy?
But why would it be 20 second whenever we don't know where the ball is, either? I mean, surely it should be when the keeper gets the ball. If he starts to dally, then okay, the ref would be like, hurry up, or I'm going to, there's going to be a punishment. Instead of that, what was it, 14 seconds in an Armagh game? Because he's counting in his head, which always is very, very hard to do. And he is enough good on without that.
It is. And if a goalkeeper decides to actually run out to the kick-out spot to try and get ahead of the game and use the time to pause and think about his kick-out, at that stage the crowd starts to play the game and the referee's under pressure. You just cannot have that rule. That just has to be binned. I actually think it'll be binned without a debate, to be honest. But I think there's a fair bit of it is definitely worth keeping, Brenton. I know we've had this discussion before, but a lot of it's worth keeping. But like that's not helping when something's through into the middle of it.
See Jim's broader point there about fatigue. You know, if we create this mad game and it's 70 minutes and it already was, asking a lot of players' fitness because of the attitude, are we crossing the line in terms of what's acceptable, in terms of, the I suppose, what do you want to call it, the slog that players have to go through to endure a game, that so many players seem to be tired now? We're looking at substitutions, the big impact that they have, and Donegal mentioned it, McFadden, Frey, McColgan, McHugh come on, won a free, you remember at one stage, and obviously Murphy, so it used to be a thing years ago. It was not that long ago, Mal, basically when the 15 started, you might have one very odd sub come in. Now, look, and our players are far, far fitter now, but yet so a lot of them will maybe struggle to see out a 70 minutes.
Definitely, and the fact that, like, you look at Derry and Kerry, like, it was probably the perfect storm in terms of chaos. I don't think we'll ever see a game like that again. But I think a lot of teams had actually found a way of taking the temperature out of the game a wee bit, Brenton. But, like, it's the middle third players. Like Jim was chatting about Kieran Moore getting it off the leash to go up and attack. It's asking an awful lot. I think teams will probably gradually change the way they play. They might vary it up a wee bit in championship time. I don't think many teams are going to show their colours now, especially when they maybe don't know the rules totally. But teams maybe need to factor in maybe a variation to their game. Another sub needs to come in, and a break and play like that there, where you can actually take a breath in the game. I think maybe if we get rid of the kick-out arc, it may take away a bit of the chaos, because I think we don't want to get rid of, like, we don't want to go back to the bourne, play the possession game around the defence. But if we can't go back to our goalkeeper, Brenton, at least if there's a short kick-out, it might give a team a chance to take a breath at that end of the pitch. It might do.
There was a thing just about the 12v11, I suppose, that the keeper, if he got it inside the half, he'd have to kick past it. You could throw something in there that he's still allowed the keeper to come out, but he's not allowed maybe to affect the game, that he's like a spare man. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, you're bringing in all the rules. It's going to be hard to manage.
Yeah, but I just think, right, obviously
unless they bring in a new version and iron it out, yeah. But
obviously the FRC are saying that if you sit in your shell defensively, like a lot of teams do, particularly our own team, Donegal, we're going to allow the keeper to come out on you. What the FRC want you to attack the other team up the pitch. They want you to tackle them everywhere. And if you don't, because if you do that, like Derry did it brilliantly against Kerry a couple of times, and Mayo did it to Kerry as well.
Oh, at the very end, yeah.
So and
the crowd were loving it.
And it is seriously exciting. But we never seem to really want to do that. We come back and we sit in ourselves, we back ourselves to take you out then in that area and counter-attack you, which we're brilliant at, and we have brilliant pace for that. But I'm just thinking that people thought the 12v11 be taken away. I think the FRC want you to go and engage, and if you don't, they're happy enough for the keeper to come out. I'm not. A lot of people think the 12v11 is going to go. I'm not sure if it is.
There's probably not that many teams have mastered it properly. They're using it to take the sting out of the game. Like, there's a spell yesterday, Donegal kept it into the road end in the first half, and they kept it really, really well, but then they kicked it wide and Derry built from it. So that's the side where they use it to take the sting out of it. But there's only really been Rafferty who's been punching with it, like really going, like that kick pass he gave to Barry McCambridge. There's not that many teams are using it that way. But I just don't know. I think if you give the goalkeeper the short kick out back, Brenton, and let him organise the game from his own half. We spoke at dinner about the variation in the kickouts, and then when you cross the halfway line, then it has to be a fair game the other way, I think. Yeah. And if somebody wants to be an outfield player, put your hand up and say, Brenton, I want to be an outfield player.
Yeah. Just from yesterday, Mal, who impressed you most in Donegal? For me, just watching Darrell Boyle this year, I was talking about the strength, the power of him. Like when we played Gweedore last year, you can't handle him, you can't stop him on the ball, and that was club. But see, watching him in county there, he's very attack minded. He goes and he's got a brilliant strike on him, particularly from the right hand channel there. He's unreal at shooting. But I was watching his power there. When he gets tackled, he hits the man, so he buys himself a bit of space to get his pass away, and he doesn't allow himself in to be double teamed a lot, because you'll notice some players that don't have that strength. The first tackle comes in and they've held them up enough for the second man to come in, then you're in trouble. But with Dara there, his absolute strength, his power, so he's a powerful runner, but he's a serious unit. Like, I impressed with you from him yesterday, and his 2-pointer when Donegal hadn't scored for so long. They really needed it. They really needed it at that point. That was maybe the biggest score. Even taking the goal into consideration. It
probably gave them, and think around that time, around that time, Derry were hitting them for a score nearly in every attack. That's like, right. I think Derry might have won wide in the whole of the second half, I think.
Yeah, they were very efficient.
But when Donegal went the other way, like, they coughed up a lot of goal chances. Like Dara Boyle and Kieran Thompson hammered over one as well. And like, they're so valuable. You're back to Oisin O'Neill, you're back to Paul Conroy, you're back to the long range kicker. Like, they're so valuable. But like you chatted about him, and Jim touched on it, like Michael Murphy's impact. Like, I had actually asked Jim the question yesterday about Michael Murphy having 3 assists for goal chances, and his answer was just simple. He says he does everything so simple. Yeah. Like, there were 3 hand passes, and in Loch Derry, Jamie missed one, Lynchy saved the other one, and obviously Shane O'Donnell hung up the other one. Like, and he sucks players to him. Like, he's so impressive. And the only other thing I did notice as well, there was one kick out that Derry had a free man on Oran Lynch's right hand side, Marty Bradley. Oran Lynch isn't left footed, and I think Michael Murphy realised that, and he didn't even go to push up on Marty Bradley. He went to midfield because he had the smarts to realise, look, they're not going to go to that zone, I'm going to go to midfield, and they won that kick out as well. So there's an awful lot to what Michael Murphy brings. Obviously, he comes on and creates an awful lift of the crowd, and then you're obviously going back to do you know how they were able to defensively, I suppose, close out the game and at the end help the midfield dominance.
And Mal, just watching his impact, like, I'm already as a Donegal fan. Like, before, leading in, they say around about 2022 time, I'm thinking, God, at some stage we're not going to have this man. I've got that fear back again because he has such an impact. And I was saying to you earlier, some of the work that he did for us at the weekend was real in the engine room stuff. It was just physical. It was like timing, power, but as you said, was so simple. Like, that man has an absolute array of skills, but we needed him in there to bowl. He goes in and bowls, and he does the job. There's just so many aspects to having him to come into that game. I mean, you take him out of that process, and you got to say Derry's going to win that match.
They are going to win it, and like, you're back to 2012, Lacey's ball to him at the edge of the square. Like, he's just an absolute wrecking ball, and like, I would say, I don't know, Brenton, what do you think, but opposition managers would just love to see him round the middle, because at least they might be able to crowd him inside. Like, he was, to be fair, Derry had lost Rodgers at that point, which was a massive factor as well. But I was surprised when Michael came back, I have to admit. But now, from watching those couple of cameos, well, they're more than cameos, watching what he has done in those 2 appearances, you just know why he's back. And he's not back for the free gear and a trip or 2 on the bus. He's back to mean business, and he's an awful option. Jim said after the game that if it had been an away match, they may not have used him because of the travel and the aches and pains. I just wish that he didn't unleash him in Derry because. But again, that's the factor in the game.
Yeah,
that's the factor in the game.
Huge, man, huge. Well, if you had to call it now from what you've seen and you're watching a lot of football, who's the best team in Ulster? Would you put like, I think for a lot of people on form at the minute, it's between Armagh and Donegal, but just as we were chatting at the end of there, Tyrone are going to be serious, and if Derry can get their act together, is there any of those teams that really think they can beat each other?
They're definitely on front at the minute. I would add Galway into a top 3 if you're talking about Sam, but Brenton, it's the 3rd of March. Sam's a long, long way away. Like this time last year, Derry were favourites and it was lights out, fairly quickly. So that's the top 3 at the minute. Yeah. But Derry's injury problems will cause them problems, and then they've obviously had to go to Ballybofey. Tyrone, an alarming enough statistic from yesterday, Tyrone used 2 subs in a game, when they were in the mix. Joe Goose and I think the Dazzler came on and kicked a point. Like, that was you wonder, like, they not have strength and depth. That would worry me. What about Monaghan? They're clocking up absolute massive scores, albeit in Division 2, but they'll not. I think they play the winners of Derry and Donegal. They'll be loving that.
They will. They
will love that.
Radar. Oh, you're right. They're dangerous.
Sound like Kevin Keegan here.
They'll love it. Hey, Conor McManus is down in Donegal next week. He's in Dromalla House. We're at Milford dinner dance. There's a man now, you're with Michael Murphy. Like, he would lord the 2-point game. Huh? He must be thinking, like I've missed this. He would be up there. I mean, I was talking about Rian O'Neill, obviously. I mean, the age of the arc for Rian O'Neill, no problem. It's like a dink.
I picked a team in the Gaelic Life a couple of weeks ago of footballers that suit the new rules. The only rules were you had to pick somebody from all 9 Ulster counties, and you couldn't pick anybody. You couldn't pick 2 from any county. Murphy was full forward, and Conor McManus was in the corner, and I had Ulton Kelm and Michael Donlan as wing half backs. Imagine them boys running up the field and McManus coming round in the loop. Like, he would be absolutely made for it, Brenton. You could just see it sailing over the bar, and it's just a pity that a man who played during a generation when he couldn't turn a sweet in his mouth inside a defence, and here now he's got a chance to, he would have been absolutely class to watch now. He definitely would have been. Yeah,
the space is huge. Is right. Mel, hold there now. I'm just going to switch across actually from the weekend in Donegal here. Our hurlers went down to Kildare away. Not a game I think Mickey McCann would have earmarked up in Division 2 after a brilliant victory over Kerry. Donegal play Derry in 3 weeks' time. That's a big game in terms of Division 2 status. Donegal ladies went down to a very informed Galway side. We have a few words from their captain, Roisin Rogers, here.
Russian heavy defeat there today, but probably kind of maybe not expected the scoreline to be the way it was, but Galway are in good form at the minute.
Yeah, 100%. Like, here, we knew going into this game that Galway were a strong side. They're top of the table at the minute for a reason. We knew it was going to be a tough challenge throughout, and do you know what? It was a tough game out there throughout. A lot of mistakes were made on our side of things, just some drop balls and things just weren't really going in our way. And Galway, made the most out of that as well. So credit where credit's due. Galway were very good out there today, in fairness.
Yeah, the final score, Galway 2-16, Donegal 6 points, but it didn't look as bleak at half time. You're only 6 points down. Those 2 goals, of course, separating the side. It was very hard to catch in that, and going out in the second half then against a tight breeze.
Yeah, do you know what? We knew going in at half time that there were 6 points in it, and that's really only 2 kicks to the ball when you think about it. And we knew we kind of had to come out fighting, and it was going to be a tough challenge. It was kind of like an uphill battle from there. Things weren't going our way, like I said. A couple of balls were kind of dropping, and we found it hard to probably try and break out from the backs. And in fairness to Galway, they did put a good press on us. When balls were coming through, they were doubling up on us and things like that. So it was a tough challenge now, and like I said, they got scores out of it in the end.
Yeah, and looking at Donegal's score sheet, probably six points, and maybe 3 or 4 of them come from frees. You'd probably be looking at trying to capitalise and getting more scores on the board against those big teams.
Yeah, 100%. Look, that's something that we definitely know ourselves. We're going to work on coming up now, in trainings and things, and that's something that you need to work on in training, getting scores on the board and creating those chances and taking opportunities when the opportunities come. And I think that's the most important part. It's trying to get numbers up and make those opportunities for our forwards, the likes of Susie in there and Jodie and all those girls, with those strong feet behind them. Kitty Dowd's coming through that middle as well. The people with the strong kicks. It's just our job to try and set them up as best we can. And like I said, go back to the drawing board now on Wednesday and take a look at all that, take a look at the video and see where we can get better at it then.
Yeah, and Galway come out there today with huge experience, and there is experience there within the Donegal team, but probably not enough at the minute, and it's something you're probably working on now.
Yeah, definitely. It's no surprise to everyone that we have lost a few players. I think it's been probably the talk of the town at the minute that we've lost a good few of our experienced players and things, and we do have a younger group coming through there. And I suppose when you do look at the two teams on paper, Galway would have the more experienced side, the Devleys there, and Nicola Ward and all that as well. They would have, like I said, on paper the more experience on things like that, and on our side we do have a really young squad, so it's just about building our confidence up through the year. It's definitely building up on that and kind of going forward to where we can go forward, and as kind of like the more experienced players like myself, Susie, Evelyn and there, Niamh Carr, it's about what we can do for those younger players to try and build up their confidence and get them the experience that they deserve as well. And I think this league so far has given them great opportunities to build on that and take all the learns for it, going into championship as well when bigger, tougher teams are coming at us. You have the likes of Armagh coming up in the Ulster final and things like that as well, and the Ulster series. So it's going to be tough, but it's about what we can do to try and get as much experience behind us as we can going forward.
Yeah, and looking forward, I suppose 2 home games left. Tipperary and yourself now in 4th place in the table, probably, as James said, in the same sort of dogfight. And then, Cork Giants end coming at the end. It's not going to be a tough end to the league, but one you'd hope you'd maybe get a few victories under your belt in Division 2, and that'll leave a bit of momentum going into the championship.
Yeah, definitely. We knew towards the end of the league it was going to be a lot tougher. Like you said, we have Tipperary there, we have Cork coming through as well. So it is going to be a tough kind of end to our season. We definitely bigger games coming up, and it's only going to get tougher as the season goes on. So hopefully now, like I said, we'll go back to the drawing board, look at everything, and hopefully we'll get some wins behind us, get some scores on the board, and reset and go again coming the next game now.
Yeah, thanks very much, Maureen O'Donnell, there for that interview, and fair play to you, Ross. And listen, you learn a lot in defeat as well, and that was a tough outing for Donegal, but thanks to Mo for that. Mal, you mentioned off air there that one over Kerry's, we were all buzzing about it here, but it sent shockwaves around the country, in terms of, one of those results that really kind of put a wee bit of Donegal hurling on the map and just showed the work that Mickey McCann is doing. I know you're chatting to Declan Coulter about a bit of a promotion push for hurling in the county.
Yeah, I think they wanted non-hurling clubs to take up underage hurling and give them the opportunity to play it at primary school level, and I think Jarlath Burns was offering a grant, and I think that they're looking into that. Declan spoke very passionately about it. His point is that you've just got to give them the chance, and if they want to play hurling, great, and if they don't, fair enough, move on, but need to give them that opportunity. But Brenton, most people look at sport as how it affects their own county. They look at their own results more than any else, but if you step back with a GA head on you, is there a bigger result anywhere in Ireland this year than Donegal hurlers beating Kerry in O'Donnell Park? It was amazing. I didn't see it coming, to be honest, but from speaking to Mickey after their Meath game, they were really disappointed they didn't get at least a draw, and that was a massive result for them. And now, you touched on, that Derry Donegal game down to O'Donnell Park is absolutely crucial for both teams, and they just need more clubs. But I think that setup, that group, that core of players, and Mickey McCann himself, I don't think they get enough credit for what they've done. And I think a lot of people listening probably don't realise how big a result that was. I suppose now it's up for them to build on it. And probably from the club side of things, the difficult side is if a club does take on hurling, it just needs somebody to drive it. And that's probably the difficult side of things. But I think that's what, if kids in the club take up both sports, their parents will want them to play both. That's maybe the way to go down. But a massive shout out to Mickey McCann and the boys.
Yeah, absolutely massive result. We're down to the last minute. Mal, Michael, well, you're a bit of a Mickey as well, yeah, because you've got a few names. Your friends call you Mal, that's why I call you Mal.
Just have whatever name suits. It's always good to have two names in case you fall out with somebody.
Mal, listen, it was brilliant to catch up with you. I'm just, we're down to the last 30 seconds, so I want to thank you so much for coming down. I know you contribute to Highland Radio a lot. You're always a great man. You were down for the Niamh Patrick, up for the match night. We had a great night there as well. Hey, always great to see you. Joe, we are down to, what are we down to, Joe? 57:30. We still have a minute here. I have a last question for you, okay? Derry's mentality now coming to Ballbuffet, the Jim McGuinness effect, the Ballbuffet record. How hard is it for Derry lads now to get their mindset they can come on that match?
At the minute, the league thing takes over, but once that's parked, they've absolutely nothing to lose coming into Ballbuffet.
You think they'll come in as big underdogs?
Massive underdogs.
Right.
Ballbuffet is a fortress. Donegal are Ulster champions and they're in a better situation. Jim did say that Derry gave them something to think about the other day, but like Derry's injury crisis could cause them problems. I'm just hoping, as a Derry man, that they're in the longest of long grass and just maybe...
Re-ambush us after what we did last year.
Here, you might as well be Kerry about it and just play the poor mouth. But no, there's no point in saying any different, Brenton. Derry are massive underdogs into that game. You know, the Derry fans aren't even going to watch Derry anymore. They're that big underdogs, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will indeed. We look forward to that, Mal. As again, thanks so much. I want to thank Joe Dex, the main man, for producing here. Stay tuned for the excellent Monday night session. Slán go follow goes go Mila Mayogad. I'll chat you on next week.
The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sara's kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Check this.
This Wednesday, we're tuning into the 1980s when pirate radio stations dominated the airwaves of the Northwest. I'm Russ Padmore.